Hello, friends. It is episode 63 of the Talkin Shop podcast. Coach Ballgame here with my main man, Chad Chop. How are you, brother? How are you, brother?
Good, buddy. I missed you. It's been a few weeks, but
I know.
absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I didn't think I could be any more fonder of you, but here we are. Great to
Man,
see
it's
you.
good. It is interesting. We take a few weeks off from seeing each other, and I feel fresh. I feel anew. I do have my throat coat hot tea going right here because, you take 2 weeks off the Sandlots, and I got back out there yesterday, and I let it rip.
You had to.
You kind of unleash the beast
Mm.
as we do, and just a little, little Doc Rivers, little Chad Chop going on. How's
Mm.
your voice? How's your coaching voice?
I feel good, man. We've had some games. We've had some great games. I had multiple people tell me that our game on Friday was the best game they've ever seen, best high school game they've ever seen. So I got a little bit of a Phil Jackson, Lamar. I got some of that in there. So
Let's go. Well, yeah. I mean, you're sounding good. You're looking
yeah,
handsome,
yeah.
and you're completely right about the absence growing fonder. This is episode 63. This is 63 times we've gotten together and talked ball, and I definitely want to hear about this best game ever, but let me just quickly unpack Italy. Me and
Yes.
Mrs. Ball game. First, we took the girls and the mother-in-law Duda to Washington D.C. because Play Ball did an event at the Easter egg roll at the White House. So there I am, like Forrest Gump, meeting the president again, which I didn't actually do at the White House again. It was for the first time, but I did coach a play ball camp there, and these kids were rolling through the different stations, and MLB set up this little field, and I did my thing. It was really fun. Did the nicknames, made sure I really taught love of play, as our friend Evan hashtag Heaven Longoria taught us.
Mm.
And that was that. I felt like I did my job, and the girls got to do an Easter egg hunt on the White House lawn, for crying
Wow.
out loud.
Wow.
We did all the things there, showed them the monuments, and where Martin Luther King Jr. looked over the sea of people towards the Washington Monument with Lincoln behind him. We went to the Capitol building. We did it all. And then the mother-in-law, Doodah, who listens to every pod, by the way, shout out
God bless
Doodah.
her. Yeah.
She flies the girls back to California and spends 10 days with them. 10 days. And me and Mrs. Ballgame, we went eastward. We flew into Rome. We did 4 days in Rome. History, baby. This is where you've got the Sistine Chapel. We did the Colosseum. We did it all. We got all the touristy things out of the way. Then we took a train, very, very charming train ride up to Florence. And this is where you get your scenery, man. This is where you get your Tuscany mountains, the hills, the beauty, and that's where we met David at the academy. There's the David. There's the Duomo, the biggest dome in the world, church dome. And we just enjoyed that scenery for 3 days, and then we finished it off in Venice. And I don't know if you know this, Venice is a city built on water, Coach. Built on water, and there's no cars. You take taxis via boat. There's a boat buses, and we just wandered endless canals, endless charm. I think the charm in Italy is ubiquitous, which has turned into one of our favorite words here on the
Good
pod.
word. Yeah.
But there is one thing that's not ubiquitous in Italy, and you want to guess what it is? Baseball.
Baseball. Yeah, it's got to be baseball.
Well, I went on a search for baseball, and I was
I saw the
asking some
video.
folks, hey, the baseball. And they said, baseball. I said, yeah, have you ever played it? And they said, baseball. I said, paya, ball,
Yeah.
stick, run. And they said, baseball. And that was the end of it. But my favorite Italian word is not even close. It's bellissimo, which means beautiful. I kind
Mm.
of felt like Brad Pitt in a movie where I'm speaking Italian in a Southern accent. Arrivederci, arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
Yes, indeedy. But we had a blast, and here's the best part of it all. When you talk to a young hitter about balance and foundation and having that good, strong stance.
Yep.
Me and Mrs. Ballgame celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary. I felt like we got in a good, balanced position. We balanced out this relationship. We've been rocking parenthood and coach Ballgame and work and all these things, grief, joy, the whole gamut. And we just spent 10 days wandering Italy. And I felt like we really rooted our relationship, and we're the closest we've ever been.
Love that.
And
you got in an athletic position with your
we got in an athletic position.
Got in an athletic position
with our hearts.
With your hearts. I love that. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
so much foundation and just good balance. And we were able to take quick hacks, staying inside the ball, looking the other way, seeing it long, and
opposite field gap. Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that.
That was Italy, man. And then back to it. Great to come back home. The girls had written little notes for us, and they were waiting in bed. We got to hug them. Just
girls
felt so good.
Yeah,
my babies. I love them so much. And another big shout out to all those doodahs, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles that'll watch your kids so you can actually spend time on your relationship, which is super important. Happy wife, happy life, has happy husband, happy something, right?
Yeah,
and
something
I think that's how that goes.
It is. And that's the saying, age-old saying.
And that was my trip to Italy, brother. It couldn't have been better. So I feel refreshed and anew, and now here we are. Catch me up to speed on you, buddy.
Yeah, I just want to touch on giving a shout out to grandma and grandpa, because it's a big deal. That matters, and they know it, and that's why they do it too. Not just because they love the grandkids, but they remember when they were in the weeds, so to speak, as we are currently with the babies and work and school and baseball and all that great stuff that we love, that we will miss someday. But sometimes it gets hard and monotonous, and you kind of can forget why you fell in love with your partner. So getting that trip to Italy, thanks to grandma and grandpa, is a big deal, and you're right. You get back home and you love each other that much more. So I love that. That's great. I'm very happy for you guys. Debbie and I snuck away for a bang. We snuck away for a date last night. I got home from baseball around 8:15 at night. And I said, honey, we're out of water. We got to go get water. So we ran over, got some water.
Yeah, you did.
And we picked up some cookies for Boaz's birthday. And I go, honey, isn't this great? Like, this is a great date. And she's like, she looked at me. She's like, this is not a date. I'm like, okay, well, fair enough. So I was going to reach around to,
she might have been looking, she might have been keeping up with the posts of Ballgame and Mrs. Ballgame in Italy.
Yeah. She's like, this is not a date. She gave me some side eye. And then she laughed, but it is what it is. We're in the thick of it a little bit. So we got to find time, her and I, once this season ends, we gotta get out and do what you guys did. That's great.
Prioritize it. Yeah.
On the high school front, I mean, a lot has happened since we talked last. These last 2 weeks, we've reeled off 6 wins in a row. We are back-to-back 3A South Region champions for the first time in school history.
Bang.
We beat Sabino, who's our big rival, at Sabino for the first time in school history with
let's go
4 freshmen, 2 sophomore, 3 juniors, a bunch of babies. And
did you do something was there a special ritual you might have done post game, since it was the first in school history?
I'll send you the video. We did it. We did our typical champagne spray with Sprite, but we did it right. We do it just like they do in the show. You win a championship, you celebrate, and you're spraying something.
Yeah.
So we did that on the field. I've got the video. I'll send that to you after this. But yeah, we're in a really good spot. We beat 3 teams in the top 10 of the state. And our last game on Friday was the best game that multiple people have ever seen at the high school level. We pulled off a Grand Illusion, which is a fake pick to second. shortstop dive, second baseman dive, center fielder, right fielder look like they're coming in to get the ball. It gets by him and they go to the gap and the pitcher has the ball all along. We pulled that off. It worked. We got the guy out at second on that. We were down 1-0 and we had an RBI double in the bottom of the sixth with a runner on first, even though they were in no doubles. Shout out to Andres Castro. Hit it so hard in the gap, they couldn't stop it. Jude Luckow flying around from first to tie it. That's courtesy runner. Brandon Taylor steals second. They throw it away, and that's how we take the lead in the bottom of the sixth with 2 outs. He scores on the overthrow. And he's been working really hard on his jump, so I'm really proud of him that he was able to do that and have the confidence to take third. Now, those folks may not know, the catcher gets the ball to third 0.3 seconds faster than he does to second base, which is 6 feet at least, according to my wife, who's our speed and power coach. For every 0.25 seconds is 6 feet. So 0.3 is even less time that you have because that catcher's getting it there faster. So he had good momentum, stole third. They threw it away. We gave up we had the lead 2-1 in the bottom of top of the seventh with 2 outs, nobody on. They go double, 2-strike single to tie it 2-2. And then we come back and we score in the bottom of the seventh. It's a walk-off with a 2-out single by Noah Miller. And, the boys were partying. They were throwing Gatorade. They were celebrating. That was the number 3 team in the state. And now we flipped them. So now we're in the top 4. They're out of the top 4. They're a great team. We're going to see them again. Yuma Catholic, tremendous team coached by a tremendous coach in Judd. And Judd's a great guy. So we're expecting to see them again in a couple weeks. But now we've got 2 home games. We've got one on May 2nd and May 6th, and the boys are fired up. So it's a blessing and a curse, coach, because we have like 12 days off, right? Which, when you're hot, you don't want days off.
Sure.
So I told the babies, we're going to start some traditions because I got a hunch we're going to be in this spot for the foreseeable future. And this 12 days is not going to be something we're going to be dreading. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a formal dinner on Thursday night, this Thursday.
Suit and tie.
And that's going to be draft night for the big game on Friday. And we're going to do a full-on scrimmage on Friday.
Yes,
your boy, Coach Chop, is going to be in this game.
Yeah.
Projected to go top 3 in the draft.
I would say so.
And we're having a draft. It's going to be my 2 head assistant coaches coaching it each game. They're doing the draft, and we're going to have the whole deal, like with the first round on the clock, like handing out jerseys. We're doing it right. So we're going to create a tradition of something really fun that the boys look forward to, like the Thursday night draft, the Friday scrimmage. Then we're going to grill out under the lights after the game on Friday night, just stay at the ball field until the neighborhood kicks us out.
Kind of sounds like you need to fly Coach Ballgame in to PA announce this scrimmage. And that might need to happen, but I'll be in Alpena, Michigan, doing a Sandlot. That's right.
There's no way you got a Friday off.
I know. Well, I save my weekends for trips, and man, this weekend I'll be in Michigan. Otherwise, I'd be there. I think that's great. I was going to ask you how you going to spend this 2 weeks, but I think the listener knows by now you are one of the most creative minds in high school baseball. And you're going to do something epic for these kids. This hits on our first topic, which is a question that a loyal listener threw in. He's got some boys; they're feeling the pressure of 6 straight losses, and you had that. You had that slump with your team, and now you're seeing 6 straight wins. From our loyal listener, a question, Coach. They're feeling the pressure. 6 straight losses. We aren't beating ourselves. We're just getting beat. The last 3 games have all been a 1-run loss. What's your advice? Now, these guys are between the ages of 8, 9, and 10, so they're not quite a teenagers like your boys. But I do want to say that this topic, number one, of kind of feeling the pressure and fear. I mean, just dive into every episode of every podcast we've done. And we talk about this. We talk about what lens we're looking through. But I do see how these kids are falling out of love with the game because they're losing, Coach. So what's your advice?
Yeah. First of all, I want the kids to know, like, play free, right? Play free to succeed, free to fail. That's the adjustment we made with our group. Was I could feel them putting pressure, and some of that was from us as coaches. So we changed the narrative of, like, just play free, dude. Like, let's go out and play free. And I love that our loyal listeners said they're not beating themselves. That's a big deal, because if you're not beating yourself, process over results. Keep going with the process. They're doing something right if they're not making a ton of errors and they're not walking a bunch of guys and they're putting the ball in play and they're running the bases smart. So one-run games, there's beauty in that, right? My message for the coaches is make sure the kids know, like, hey, y'all did a great job. I just said this to my Little League Boaz's team the other day. They had a 6-2 lead. They ended up getting walked off in the 7th, 7-6. They lost, and the other team was going nuts. And our team was over, like, kind of sad in right field. It's like, boys, couple different things here. First of all, you guys played a great game. Second of all, you played such a great game that it required them, the other team, to do something really special in the 7th inning. And look at how happy they are. That's a byproduct of your guys playing a great game. They got this special moment. You guys are going to have that special moment more often than not because you're a great team. But, like, don't forget that process of, like, let them have their moment. They earned it. It was really cool. And some of them go to the same school. Like, tell them tomorrow, like, hey, I'm proud of you guys. You guys scored 5 in the 7th, dude. That was awesome. You didn't give up and you kept with it. And it was really great. So this group right now that's going through it a little bit, it's process over results. It's just keep going, keep grinding. You keep doing your very best. And for our coaches out there, if you want 4 little nuggets that you can work on, my chart is the beat the game chart that I learned from Coach Tim O'Donohue, who taught me when I was 13. But it's throw strikes, right? So we're not walking, guys. Throw strikes, put the ball in play. So we're not swinging to hit homers. We're swinging to put the ball in play. It's play catch on defense, right? If we collect outs, and then it's run the bases smart. You do those 4 things. It really doesn't matter who you're playing. If you can maximize those 4 things, you got a really good shot to be in a good position to win the game or to allow your opponent to have a great moment. And both things are a win at this age, by the way. Both things are a win. You win or you learn. So I'm encouraged by that. If they're not beating themselves, that's on mom, dad, and the coaches to remind these boys, like, hey, you're at an age right now where every opportunity you get in these close games, there's beauty in that. There is pressure, and that's okay. And you're going to mess up a bunch. Michael Jordan missed 750 game-winning shots. Everyone remembers the 134 he made, but he missed 750 times, right?
Jack Nicklaus finished second, more times than he finished first, but by like double. I couldn't have answered that better. I'll just add this, and you already touched on it with the moms and dads. Make sure the parents are on board with this. Everything's a win. These 6 straight losses in 12 years, when they've failed their college entrance exam 3 times, they're going to feed back off of this 6-game losing streak. Remember how they stayed with the process and stop focusing on the outcome. Results will cripple you. Thank you, Hunter Pence. And big picture thinking. You got to get everybody on board. You got to get the parents on board. So they're feeding them breakfast in the morning, and they're feeding them that beautiful knowledge and just that freedom to fail, freedom to fall flat on your face. It's all beautiful things. So that's there's a tease there, listener. That was question 1 from one of our loyal Patreons. We got 2 more that will hit after today's interview, but I'm pretty fired up. I see a beard. I see. There's an absolute geyser of beauty in this man's face, in this man's eyes, and I'm going to give him a formal introduction on episode 63. Folks, former Major League pitcher, through the 19th perfect game in Major League Baseball history. There's only been 23. He's currently broadcasting games for the Oakland A's. And personally, to a man, I think I'm one of the most energetic and big personalities one will ever meet. I've met my match. I meet my match. I'm challenged by this man. It's Dallas Braden. Dallas Braden snaps for Dallas Braden.
Good morning.
He's an engaging hang and a listen, Chopper. Have you ever have you run into Mr. D-Man here ever?
We've been on the same field. I don't think we've ever actually met each other, but every time we were doing in the Bay Series when I was working with the Giants and he was on the field, you can't miss Dallas. He is a personality, and he's a guy you're going to recognize right out of the gate. Very well respected. He knows the game, loves the game. He's got a passion for people in the game, and you can see it and feel it. Great to meet you, dude. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you guys for that ridiculously over the top, unnecessary introduction. First and foremost,
Well,
good to see we can have a laugh here. That's
let's
good. That's good.
go. Well, buddy, didn't you get in late? You had a late 10 inning game last night, or what?
Well, actually, I was fortunate enough to be able to spend some time with the family last night. We did not have the game, the A's. We did not have the call. That was a Fox game, so I got to hang out with my daughters in the hot tub, watch the first few innings of the ball game, and family dinner, and got to put the girls to bed and all that. So today is a different day, though. We got a ball game today, and I will be on that call.
I love it. Were you in the hot tub, like giving home run calls? Because I mean, they went nuts last night.
That was unbelievable, right? I mean, Brent Rooker, Jesus Aguilar, first time that A's players have ever gone back to back twice in the same game. Insane.
That's a gem.
Yeah, that was very solid. So ton of fireworks there. It was an incredible game. A lot of back and forth action. Unfortunately for Halos fans, it did not work out, but yeah, it was a great game. Beautiful.
I had that game on. I got home from practice. I flipped that game on, and then on the low, I was on Valley Sports because y'all didn't have the call. So I had that broadcast on. Otherwise, I'm watching my guy, Dallas. Bang. But so I get on there, and then the Lakers score flashes down below. And I mean, I'm Southern California tried and true. And so I had to switch over to that Laker game, epic finish in that Laker game in overtime. So I didn't know who won the game last night.
Understandable. Yeah, that was ridiculous as well. Yeah, but great sports night, right? Great sports night.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
I was very lucky just to be at home taking in the ball game with the family.
That's a win.
Yes.
Yeah. Dad game, 100% right there. Way to go. Well, listener, I'm at Dallas at a baseball influencer shindig that Easton put on years ago. And what I found there at that baseball influencer convention where we met John Boy and I met Jared. I want to get his last name right. Is it Carabas?
Carabalus, Carabinus, however you would like to, but Carabas, Jared Carabas, that's my guy.
Oh, great guy, great folks. And Chris Rose was there, the whole gang. And what I found out is that this group of, I mean, I don't know if I love the word influencer, whatever you want to call it, that us baseball lovers who are on social media. And if you love baseball, we probably pop up on your feed. It's kind of a small, intimate group. And we all just got along. We all had chips on our shoulders for one reason or another about our game and the direction it was going. And I think we've all done a ton to bring that new generation into the game. Let's start there. Where I met you. I've also met you at a War Stick event where they opened up their convention, and I got there's another tease. I got another tease about War Stick later on. Man, just teasing all day. But yeah, what'd you think of that event? That was the first one I'd been to.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that is awesome. And it's great when you have companies that are endemic to our sport that have sort of seen the light and they understand that, you know what, we can try to carve out our own niche. And Easton is, I mean, look, they're extremely well established. They are a major player in the world of sports and in the world of baseball specifically. So when companies like that acknowledge the ability to get together with folks and not try to outshine certain and make it a team effort, a collective effort, you can see a lot of positive happen very quickly. And in my opinion, that is what happened. That's what that was all about. Was we've got folks from YouTube, folks from video game streaming worlds, right? Just everywhere in between. We had Cougs there. I don't know if Fuzzy was there. There's just a ton of folks from all walks of the baseball life that just love the game and want to see it flourish, want to see it do well. And meeting you was really exciting because I've always known and understood that you have to start somewhere. Whatever it is you're doing, there's a starting point, and there's something that tips that off. There's something that ignites that fire. And whether it's going to a ball game, whether it's watching a ball game or hearing a story and then going out and playing catch and getting smoked in the face with the ball because you don't know what you're doing. But you know what? The taste of blood excited you and you want more. And now you want to learn how to catch and you want to work off the tee with mom or dad or whoever's willing to put the balls on the tee for you. And that's where you come in. And being able to feel that energy in that room. And then, you bring in major league ball players. We had Ramon Laureano was a guy that was there. I forget the other guys that were there. Yeah, Delano was there. So just all of that energy in the same room. It was like it it was almost like an underground meeting. Like, you know what? I know we're in a good place. I know that the chips that we all came here with on our shoulders, justifiably so, we're all going to be able to chip away at each other's chips because of the energy we have. And that was kind of like me knowing, you know what? Baseball's in a good spot here.
And 5 years down the road, I can safely say, as a loyal employee of MLB, as the ambassador of Play Ball now, that they took notice of us. They took notice of the chips on our shoulders, and they're doing something about it. They really are. They're trying to make moves forward to bring in that next generation, and they're kind of allowing us a little more leeway to grow that game, which is really all we wanted in the first place. This is where I want to start, and Chopper, I'll throw it to you after this first question for Dallas. But who was your guy? You were born in Phoenix, but you grew up in Stockton, California, one of the most beautiful places in the world.
That's right.
I believe.
That's right.
And and who taught you to love baseball?
Oh man. I'd be lying if I say I probably wasn't a kid who, my dad put the ball in my hand early. And then from there, just because of, some life stuff, my mom and my grandmother continued to water that seed. And I mean, it's funny. I was just at the zoo or the aquarium in Dallas, actually, which is basically like a zoo. They got all kind of cool stuff there. And they've got a, cool flamingo exhibit. And my grandma used to tell me, hey, like a flamingo up on one leg, right? Trying to get me to understand the leg lift. And so we would play catch and she would be out there. And I mean, she could probably, and this is back when she was, 40s, 50s, but she could probably stand there and hold her leg there for like 15 seconds, solid. And she would just yell, like a flamingo, do it like a flamingo, Dal. So my grandmother, my mom, and I was fortunate enough to have, I grew up around a set of brothers who I call my brothers to this day. Their children are my nieces and nephews. Like that's how we roll. And being able to have them and, and their parents around, it was just, it was really, I am absolutely 1,000% a product of it takes a village to raise a child. I am that child that was raised by that village. And I was just lucky enough to have so many people who loved baseball and just loved play for kids in general that I was around. But yeah, mom and grandma for sure.
And I think that's tease number 3. We're going to come full circle with mom and grandma a little later in the conversation. But I'll send it your way, Chopper. What do you got for our man?
I want to know a little bit about Bob Melvin. My question's about give us a little bit of insight of what makes him such a good leader, communicator. I know he's in San Diego now, but I've heard from Nick Hundley, from Blake Trinan, that this dude was just really special in how he treated the players. And I'm curious, give me a little bit of insight of what makes him so special and so great.
So when Bo Mel came over, it was midseason, and look, yeah, I mean, those changes, those transitions are never easy for anybody. It doesn't matter what side you're looking at. If you're on the way out, on the way in, a player who's just basically a bystander, right? You don't have much say in that. But the minute he came in, he walked in the room, got everybody together, and made it very clear that, he was here as part of a transition. He understood everybody's situation. And if he didn't, he was going to get to know you and get to understand your situation so that the tough decisions that were inevitably ahead were going to be able to be made with information and with a feel, as opposed to really just kind of looking at you as a number, and that was the first sign that things were going to be a little different. And for me, 24 hours later, brought into the room, what do you got? Who do we got here? What kind of energy do we have here? What kind of clubhouse is this, right? And he wanted to know. And he wanted to know about players. He wanted to know about work ethics. He wanted to know about everything. Clubhouse guy. He wanted to know. He just wanted to be filled in. And I'm not the only guy that he had those kind of conversations with. So he did his due diligence. And that was, again, one of the first realizations I had where, you know what? This is going to be different. I can already feel a level of expectation changing. And I will always say one of the biggest, and it's a regret, but there's nothing I could do about it. One of the biggest regrets for me was never being able to take the ball and pitch for Bob Melvin. I would have much rather my arm ended up laying on that Coliseum mound for a guy like Bob Melvin because of what he is about, but at least what he stirred up in me, because I am, when it comes to playing the game and it comes to getting outs and it comes to competing, I'm much more of a no nonsense, no excuses. It is what it is. And let's compete. Your best, my best. One of us is going out on the shield at the end of the day. Let's enjoy everything in between. And I just, you kind of get that vibe from him.
I love that answer. And I love that for leaders out there and coaches out there, there's a lot to learn from that of like, don't just come in there and it's my way or the highway. No, get to know your guys, like get to know your group, ask some of the leaders that are there. And then you love that as the player because you're like, dude, I'm hurt. He's listening to me. He cares. He wants to know. That's the same with Dave Roberts, right? Like some of these great leaders where everyone knows that first of all, we're all in this together. Yeah, he'll make the final say, but he's going to make it with information. He's going to make it with maybe some of the stuff that's immeasurable, not just the numbers. I love that.
Doc is a great comparison. He's a great, because I always tell a story, like the comfortability that Doc gives you the minute that you talk to him, the minute that you meet him. This was when I was with, I think I was with ESPN, but I was down in his office, we're talking before the game, and it's me, our producer, Doc, Sandy Koufax, Mr. Koufax, and Mr. Newcomb, right? And Doc leaves. And he's like, hey, you guys, well, he didn't need to say anything to Sandy, or he's like, you guys are good. Dallas, I'm going to be out. I'll catch you on the field. And he just left me and these two like baseball gods,
legends,
in his office to just talk, like what, and I always like that conversation with those guys, like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like you know what I mean? Like I am the last person that should have been in that room with those dudes, but in that room because of Doc and the comfortability and his ability to just say, we're all baseball guys here, man. How about it? Enjoy, and make you that comfortable.
I love that. I always say, like, people forget there's a heartbeat to this game. You know what I mean? So it's like the metrics and all that good stuff, and it's great, and matchups. And I understand you got to be able to explain it to the media after the game. So I get some of the decisions, but like, don't ever forget there's a heartbeat to this game. So it sounds like Bob Melvin gets that. Doc gets that. You get that. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. It's very important.
Build trust. That's what I heard. Build trust before you teach kids how to, hit it to right center or throw a backdoor slider, like build trust. What's your home life like? How's your mental health? All these things that, we heard it from Doc. We heard it from Rick Honeycutt. We heard it from Dallas about what's his nickname? Bob Melvin? Bo Mel. Love that.
You hit him with a Bo Mel. Well, too, like you said, Dallas, too, like then when you have to make those hard conversations and those hard decisions, as a player, like, hey, dude, he didn't just make a blank decision, and like he cares about me. If you build that relational equity, then when you do have to have those conversations, which will come up in this game one day, you can do it with someone where you're like, hey, I tell this to my high school kids all the time. I love you. I care about you. Doesn't mean I'm not going to hold you accountable or have to make a hard decision. At least I love and care about you.
No, for sure. I mean, and you have those relationships, and eventually, like, you want to get to a point where I got Bo Mel, leaving me voicemails and texting me, blowing me up. Hey, answer my phone call. I'm trying to fix my scooter. I'm trying to get my scooter fixed. What's going, you know what I mean? And
100%.
We're not talking about baseball. We're talking about other stuff. And that's where the conversations go. That's where the relationships go when the right people have the right idea.
Yeah.
I got one for you on this topic. We both have big personalities, but I was a little indecisive early on about who I was or what had I earned the right to be as big of a personality as I really felt like I was. And it was a coach. It was a baseball coach when I was 12, 13, 14, who was he was this New York guy. And, he made me laugh, and he was honest and brutally honest. And he was just an encouragement to me of be exactly you. The honesty and the genuine is successful. That's what creates a successful man. Was there somebody in your life that empowered you to be you?
Again, I hate to be so cliche, but when I say that my mother was my best friend in life, I mean that on all fronts, because she was the person, because it was just her and I, right? It was just her and I. So yeah, I had coaches that came and went. I mean, my high school coach, if I'm going to answer this outside of my mother, I would say my high school coach, my senior year, was probably one of the most impactful people to say, be you. And there's a reason that you need to be you, because what you have to offer right now is something that nobody else has to offer. You have already lived a life that would be fulfilled based on some of the things you've gone through up until this point, and you've made it this far. So from here on out, right, let's let the right things and the positive things motivate us. It's okay to have that chip on your shoulder, but let's not let that chip start to burn its way into your heart and into your soul, and let's not let that be the motivator, right? You have some good things to offer, but it's okay to just be you and let that out. And he challenged me because I was a knucklehead in high school. I only played 2 years of high school baseball, and one of them was my senior year. And it was because of the challenges he presented me with. And it was almost like a, wink, wink, nod, nod. I know you can do this. I don't think you have it in you, though. Kind of like, I know you have it in you, but I'm going to make you prove it. And that was sort of the very beginning of, and I don't want to say the beginning of, but that was really when me responding to those sort of challenges really, really took off. But he always, he used to laugh at me because I would wear my hat a certain way. I did this in high school. I had my, my hat low, and I would try to bend my bill or flatten my bill a little so I could see the runner over at first and try to pick guys off. And, he would ask, what are you doing? What do you, he was an old Vietnam vet, so he's not, he wasn't up on game, if you will. So to let me be me in itself, especially 17-year-old Dal, trying to be 17-year-old Dal, that was a very different dude than the one we're talking to right now. So I can say without him, things would probably be very, very, very different.
Yeah. And that came at a tough time for you, losing your best friend, your mom, in high school. We got on a call together. We did an Instagram live, and you went pretty deep on it. It comes full circle in your baseball career, and we'll get to that with the perfect game. But did baseball save you in that time?
It saved me, period. The game of baseball saved me. It was introduced to me at a very early age. And from there, it was everything that I ever did. It was what I did. It was what we did as a family. My mom moved us from one area of town to another so I could be in this certain little league, because I was already showing signs of being good, making all-star teams. And then you have parents who, believe it or not, yes, are out there willing to put somebody else's fire out, even at the cost of the experience for the child. Hey, he doesn't live in our district. He's out of district. This team's ineligible, blah, blah. So we had to move so that didn't happen. And that was, again, the first sign of my mom willing to fully commit whatever she could to my dream at 8 years old. This is my dream. And here's my mom packing up town like the Clampets, and we're heading to the other side of town, right? So it has always been the saving grace. And again, the motivating factor in high school, being a knucklehead, like I said, 2 years of baseball were taken away from me by myself, not from anybody else, by me. And the only way I was going to get the life that I wanted, the way that I was going to take care of my grandmother, take care of my mother, the only way I was going to get a baseball card is by getting to the big leagues, right? The only way I get a poster is by getting to the big leagues. The only way you get in a video game is by getting to the big leagues.
That's
and those
fact.
were all the things that I wanted. Those were it. I want to be on a poster. I want to open up these cards and see my face. I want to get this video game. Like, I want to be on the cover of that thing. I want to be that good. So I guess I got to go to class. I guess I got to stop doing this other dumb stuff. So let's figure it out. And what helps that? Well, baseball. Baseball is there. That's why I always say the game giveth.
It does. And again, this is mostly a podcast for young coaches out there or parents of athletes. And if you can just teach love of play and just get them wanting to come back tomorrow, it's gonna save them down the road from dark things. If they can just be a part of a team, whatever sport that might be, just teach love of play.
Whatever sport, teach the play. I'll tell you, here's an example of that, Jimmy. Yesterday, right? I, as you guys know, I like baseball. I'm a fan. I like softball. Decent games. I enjoy them. We're walking down the aisle at Dick's Sporting Goods, and my girls, they both have gloves, and I'm showing them the gloves, showing them different gloves and putting them on. We start playing catch in the aisle, and I start taking them over by the bats, and my oldest daughter sees soccer balls out of the corner of her eye. Boom, gone. I mean, just gone, out of here, down the. And did we walk out of there with a bat? No. Did we walk out of there with an extra glove that they don't need? No. Softballs? No. Did we walk out of there with 6 different soccer balls and cones? And yes, we did. Yes, we did. Because that's where she was at. That's what they're doing right now, right? So the game can wait. The game can wait. And if it's waiting for a long time and it never develops into the love, then you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because they're blossoming into the flowers that they're going to become. And all I need to do is water that. Water
big
that.
time.
I don't need to worry about changing the flower bed. I'll just water it.
100%. No, well done. Yeah, my girls are dancers all the way, and I'll spend 12 hours at a dance competition. But I know that them in the spotlight in front of a bunch of people trying to do this dance they've memorized with 9 other girls. When I think big picture, that's a high leverage moment that they are tackling head on, and that's going to help them down the road in life when it matters. So change your life, coaches. As far as changing the game, yeah, sure. But change of life, that means more. So you get drafted out of high school, but you decide to go to college, and you went to the one and only American River College in Sacramento instead. Second year of college, you go to Texas Tech, and then you were ready to go 24th round by the A's. Why college first? Why not just take that 46 round money with the Braves and go?
Yeah, because at that point, as you know, you are paying to go play baseball. They're not paying you to play baseball. And that was actually during a phase called the draft and follow phase that no longer exists. And you can read up more about that if you're interested. But take-home messages, the Braves owned my rights. I couldn't sign with anybody else. And then when the next draft came, if they wanted to sign me, they had the opportunity to. If they didn't want to do that, I went back in the draft pool with all the other guppies. So what happened was I was drafted. I was 5'9", 140 pounds my senior year in high school, soaking wet in a full cotton uniform. I was not a physical presence by any stretch. I needed to mature physically. I needed to mature mentally. The longtime legendary MLB scout, Jay Harrison, was the individual who drafted me at that time in my living room, explaining to me, you're 5'9", you're 140 pounds, you need to mature, blah, 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 blah. And so I knew the next round. And he said, and he explained it very candidly. Look, the more eyes on you, the better. The more that you can challenge yourself to get bigger and to understand life a little better, because he was very well aware of everything I had gone through with losing my mother. And so he basically challenged me to the same thing that my high school coach had challenged me. I bet you right now, right? Can you grow? And here's where you're going to do this. More sets of eyes on you. Go to junior college. And it was, frankly, again, because my knuckleheadedom had continued to follow me. I wasn't Division I eligible. I couldn't go to a California state school, not only because I wasn't D1 eligible, but I didn't take the SAT. I didn't have money to pay to go take a test to go to school again. That wasn't happening. So JUCO, here we come, baby. And I was a JUCO and I was a JUCO bandit. And I have always said, coaches, parents, please, if baseball is what you're thinking about, is where you're at in life right now with your child, if that's the path, please understand that junior college is not a stepping stone. It can be a launching pad for success if you allow it to be. If you utilize the mechanics the way that they are intended to, if you take advantage of the opportunities that are there in junior college, it doesn't have to be just a stepping stone. It can be a launching pad to the next level if you allow it to be, if you have the mindset that it can work for you that way. D1 is D1, D3 is D3, NAIA is NAIA. It's all an opportunity to further your education, to further your skill set, and to continue to get that much closer to the dream.
Bang, timestamp. That will be going on my MySpace page a little later on. I'll clip that for you on MySpace. Still friends with Tom, by the way, on MySpace.com. I mean, there you go. And what I heard from those two individuals, your high school coach and your Mr. Russell, was it? Who was your Harrison? The scout.
The scout. Yeah, Jay Harrison.
Jay Harrison. They found the key that kind of unlocked you. Like, they built trust with you, and they knew how you were going to hear them. They had built that trust. I mean, they had to build that trust with a knucklehead 19, 20-year-old for you to be able to hear them. So they did that. So there's another one for you, coaches and parents, of why you need to build that trust so you can actually unlock, find the right key, unlock, get them to hear you. And then you're on the right path. So 2 years of college, you make it at 24th round with the A's, and you work your way up the minor leagues in hitting you hit the show in 2007. Was there a mentor there from those minor leagues to the major league debut? Somebody that found that key to unlock you as well.
Yeah, one of the guys, he was our farm director at the time, Keith Littman, a guy who I refer to as Captain. And the big league pitching coach now, Scott Emerson, was my pitching coach in A-ball. And he saw, because I was asking questions that maybe some other guys weren't. And I was asking if we could do some things that other guys weren't asking about. And I was sort of demanding help, because I walked into this professional world with that chip on my shoulder. I'm a 24th round draft pick. Everybody else on my team was drafted several rounds ahead of me. And everybody that's playing my position, and even more specifically, a left-handed pitcher on this team, was drafted way before I was. So I know what I need to do to get better. I need you to want to help me out. And all it took was that one conversation. And my pitching coach, Scott Emerson, was all the way in. I mean, sending guys to go take video of our next opponent. We were color coding hitting charts, hot and cold zones, back when we didn't have software to do that. And we're just doing it based on numbers. And he's putting this stuff in his computer, and we're printing these sheets out. And this is what I'm looking at, because this is what I wanted. This was what I was willing to do, though, is come in early, stay late, and put this kind of work in. And so I was met with somebody who was willing to do that, did that himself. And when you fast forward and realize he's now been the big league pitching coach for 7-8 years, you don't wonder why, because he's willing to put that work in. He cares. He cares about the player. He cares about the game. He cares about the art. He wants everybody interested in it to just get better and to be better. And again, falling in somebody's lap like that, that matters. And Keith Littman, a guy who, again, just sort of understood the rough road that I had traveled, and was a very soft and warm landing spot emotionally, but was very, very straightforward in the messaging. And again, no frills, no nonsense, warm, caring, but going to let you know what the business is. I respond well to that. And he's that guy. He's the guy that when he just retired, I made sure he understood how big of an impact he had on my life and on my career. Like, I was trying to do some things in my community as a minor leaguer. And even when I first got to the big leagues, and I wasn't telling anybody about this, there wasn't on social media or anything like that. And he brought me into his office one day and had a newspaper clipping. It was like, why aren't you telling me about this? Like, is this who you really are? Because I would try to feed my community. And eventually we got to a point where we had a ton, literally a metric ton of food donated after year. And we were feeding these people. And, I was a rookie when I was doing this. And Lip was like, hey, you need to tell somebody about this. We want to help you. We want to. And I'm like, well,
Let's go.
This is just stuff that I do this. And he was like, well, this is stuff that people need to know about, because if this is who you are, and so he had my back.
I love the brutal honesty. The message was brutal honesty, but we talk about this a lot, Chopper. The kids, teenagers, young people, they pick up your vibe. They hear your tone way more than they actually hear the actual wording. So you obviously you felt this vibe of love, warmth, care, and you were willing to listen to the brutal, honest message because of that. A lot of times we're backwards with that, and the tone is militant and sergeant and loud, and they turn you off right away. You're gone. You're done. So that leads me to the 19th perfect game ever thrown in Major League history. There's only been 23 total. I mean, we've already kind of documented this 140-pound knucklehead who finds himself in the Coliseum throwing a perfect game. Chopper, do you know what holiday this perfect game was thrown?
I thought it was Mother's Day, but I'm not sure.
You are correct. It
Let's
was
go.
on Mother's
that makes it that much better knowing your story. That's crazy.
Day. And
That's
Chopper, one of the biggest baseball fanatics I know, didn't know that story.
No.
And I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't either.
Wow.
You lose your mother when you were 19? 17. Your grandmother takes you under, and Flamingo. I don't know if she was yelling Flamingo that day, but she was first row. I take it. There's a story here.
Yeah. She was actually, where she used to come to the games every day that I pitched. And she sat in the family section with everybody else. But at the end of this game, and my grandmother is a baseball nut, loves baseball. She knew what was going on, right? She knows what's up. So after the 8th inning, she came down from her seats in the family section and just wanted to stand in the front row, right? But she climbed up on the dugout.
Yes.
And the security guards, legend. The ushers, they know her, right?
Yeah.
One security guard who had migrated over and had switched over and was working this area right now for whatever, was like, hey, ma'am, you can't be. And the ushers and our head of security, Dave Renetti, but beautiful human, was just like, hey, let her go. Let her go. So she watched part of that game from the top of the dugout. Like
that's
just
amazing.
Leaning, standing, sitting on the top of the dugout.
That's so good.
And that's why, honestly, after the game, I'm walking back over to the dugout, and I'm kind of like, I'm looking for my grandmother, and I know what section to look at, because she was my, and coaches talk about this too. You try to, clear the mechanism, and you're finding your focal point to reset. Well, on my day at home, I knew where I could look, right? And I knew where my grandma was, and I know, like, that's just take a deep breath, go touch some grass on the back of the mound, lock in on Gran, and let's go get an out. And so I'm looking for her, and she's not there. And I'm like, oh, hold on, where's this old lady at? Like, keep track of her. Like, you got to put a bell on her, otherwise, good luck. So I can't find her. I can't track her. And then she's like, oh yeah, it's on the dugout. I'm right here. Like, she's now on the field. And so, like, yeah, just the overflow of emotion. But yeah.
Nutty. And I mean, I think the question I have for that day, and it might be grandma on the dugout, but what's the one moment that stands out more clearly than any other for you from that day? Do you have one?
Yeah, just the embrace and the look in her eye. Um because it's not a day that it wasn't a day that we celebrated a ton. It wasn't a day that that we got to enjoy a lot. And that was the baseball gods giving us Mother's Day back.
Wow.
And she could feel that. And I could feel her feel that, because she lost her only daughter and she had to kind of become a mom. And she didn't want to become a mom. She didn't need to become a mom. She had raised 4 kids already and, lived enough trials and tribulations for 10 lifetimes. And now here she was strapped with this little idiot who won't figure it out and can't pull his head out. And now here we are, and I could just feel her and I could see in her eyes that was like a day that, she kind of a day of rebirth.
It's beautiful. Chopper.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I was going to ask a baseball question. I don't know how you transition from that. I have my grandmother over in my office here, like a artist pencil rendering of her. Cause we didn't call her Nan. We called her the Nan. She's the goat. And,
love that.
Yeah, my other grandma didn't love that title, but so be it. It is what it is. There's levels, rankings come out. If you don't like it, play better. But the Nan is like literally like I'm looking at her smiling right now. So to feel that moment for you with mom looking down from above and like that rebirth is incredible. So I'm gonna transition from that.
No, understood.
That's incredible.
I'll just say one, but it's just the thing you remember. What it wasn't words; it was a look. It was just a look, and like music, it really taps into my history. When I throw on, the '90s mix, man, I'm right back on my bicycle, riding around in my, backyard, listening to Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Review. I'm right there again. I'm 13, ready to, get on the mound and pitch my little league game. But looks like you can remember somebody's eyes. You can remember the look they give. And again, the vibe that you're putting out as a parent, as a coach, in the driver's seat of your car after an 0 for 5 and your kid's back there, the looks you give them, they'll remember it when they're 40 years old. So, beware, Chopper.
Yeah. Question I've got for you. And I've asked this question to a couple guys. Obviously I was raised under the Dave Duncan thought of get ahead, stay ahead, use your head, right, for pitchers. And now I've got this high school team with my guys. I asked Max Scherzer about this. He said, get 2 strikes within 3 pitches, which I love, which is a very similar concept. What is something that you kind of held on to in that forced contact or whatever the case might've been where you were looking, especially now in high school, because there's, at least in Arizona, there's pitch counts, right? So I've got my studs that are out of pitches in the 5th, and it's because they're going 3-2 to the 7, 8, 9 hole. But what was it for you outside of being a flamingo, which by the way, I was huge on too, as a left-handed pitcher. Like I lived in my balance when I knew that was a spot of comfort. And if I could get there and separate on time, everything would work out. But what was it for you?
The best pitch in baseball has always been, still is, and will always be strike one. That is the best pitch in baseball. And you can dive into the numbers, and that's what you'll do as you get older and you realize the chances and the success rates of 0-1 as opposed to 1-0. Converting the 1-1 is the most important count in baseball. But strike one is the most important pitch in baseball. The being comfortable, being uncomfortable is a lesson that we need to get used to, not only in life, but especially in the game of baseball, because this is a game that is testing you to see how you're going to respond to the inevitable failure. This isn't about being as successful as you possibly can. It's about processing the failure as well as you can. That's what the game of baseball is all about. So if you understand that, then you realize that you're going to have to tap some other folks into this, which means the players behind you. I need the shortstop to be great. How is he great? He's great when I am creating game flow. He's great when there is pace to this game and he's making plays. He's not great when it's 3-1, 3-2, and the at-bat is taking minutes. That's not what these other guys are here for. They're here for action. Action comes with you filling up the strike zone. So absolutely, strikes in 2 out of the first 3, no doubt. I'm going to need the first one to be a strike, though. There's no negotiation on that. And from there, being comfortable allowing the defense to do their job, right? Knowing when to, and I think high school level is when we start to understand and start to conceptualize hunting the strikeout in certain situations, what the defensive alignment is telling us to do here, or what the game of baseball is giving us and what it's asking us to do in these certain situations, right? That's when we start to have those conversations. But yes, first and foremost, strike one, the best pitch in baseball. You cannot do anything working from behind. You cannot hunt. That's the mentality that you have to have on the mound. You are the hunter. You are not the hunted. The ball is in your hand. So you got to have a game plan.
I love that. I wrote down on my board here, processing the failure better than anyone. And that's one of my favorite things I've ever heard anyone say. I'm really big on how you're going to respond, right? Like, okay, you made an error. You walked a guy, you struck out. It's over. Like, how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond as a teammate of that guy that failed? Are you going to come around him? Are you going to know him well enough to know that he's a put your arm around guy, or maybe he's a leave alone guy, but a tap on the thigh to be like, hey, bro, you're good. You got this. You know what I mean? Know your guys. And then as the individual, I vividly remember in Milwaukee, Pablo Sandoval making an error, and I'm in the video room doing replay and everyone's all pissed off. And I'm like, my thought was like, I can't wait to see how Pablo responds, because he's a warrior. And his next AB 3-run homer. So he allowed a run, but then in the 8th, he hits a 3-run jack. Like, give me that guy. Give me that mindset, right? Yes. Processing the failure of like, all right, bet I get another opportunity to do something.
But it's that initial understanding that this is the world that you have chose to exist in. All right. If you want to be rewarded consistently with success, there might be a different route to take, because what you're going to be rewarded with here is your ability to, again, process the failure, but your ability to just become more efficient in your failures. That's why the home run is something to celebrate. That's why the big punch out in a big spot is something to celebrate, because those are really, really hard things to do, even at younger levels. And we can get into the bat flip, blah, blah, but that is number one, being as comfortable as you possibly can, understanding that this is about inevitable failure and how you process that, not about the success that's due to come.
And when you hunt that strike one, like Tony Gonsolin, excellent pitcher, right? Well, his first couple of years with the Dodgers, when I was there with him, he would nibble, dude. And he would be in 2-0, 3-1 counts left and right and give up damage. So the message I had for him is like, hey, go look at how many solo homers Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw have given up. It's a lot. Right? Because they're hunting strike one, dude. And like, that's the sign of a Hall of Fame pitcher, in my opinion. Like, give up a solo jack, dude. Don't walk, guys. Force contact.
Well, you just don't ever want to put it. If you're going to beat me, it's going to be because you beat me. Yeah. I'm not going to allow you the first 3 moves of our checkers match.
Right.
No. What? No.
I love it.
That doesn't make any sense to anybody. And that's exactly what I do when I start 1-0, 2-0, a guy on first base. Because if the party starter reaches first base, that guy's going to score. And if you let somebody else with 2 outs get to first base, that guy's going to score. Yes. I don't know why. The baseball guy, ask them, but that's how it goes. So why would you flirt with that?
I love it. You get it. That's old school, Coach Ballgame. That's
what a connection.
Old school.
What a connection to real life too, man. My marriage is going to be better if I process the failures better than anybody else. If I'm going to be a better dad, if I can go in and apologize after flipping out because they left their socks on the couch. I do know this. My daughter, she will submit to me under one condition solely, and that's after I've apologized to her about something. Then bang, then I get some submission because she's strong-willed.
She just wants to know that even if it's not a level playing field between us, are you going to give me some semblance that like we're kind of seeing eye to eye here? Just give me a little.
Just a little.
Just
something.
A little something for the effort.
Man, well, listener, you feel that that full belly you got there, that is a geyser of knowledge that has just gone down the esophagus into the digestive system. It's not pasta. It's great food, great knowledge. We always end our interviews with a little trivia, and this is a first, Coach. I have my first sponsor. The official bat and glove of Coach Ballgame is our friends at Warstick.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm telling you, dude, it's kind of nice to be very picky with what I do, but I love those dudes. I saw Dallas get down there in Dallas, Texas, and throw cheddar cheese off the mound at that event, and so there's a discount code, 15% off at the Warstick website, Attaboy15. Go get you a bat, get you a glove. Chopper, we got our first sponsor. Episode 63. It only took 63 episodes.
We need Bang.
So.
Why is Bang not? Isn't there an energy drink Bang? Like we say Bang enough for Bang.
Golly. I think it will be.
Missed opportunity by Bang.
Okay. I'll ask the question and you answer it as fast as you can, Dallas. Ooh. And try and beat Chopper to the punch here. This is Dallas, aka the D-Beard. This is trivia from his life and Oakland A's trivia. So, yeah, we talked about the perfect game. Number one here. Who's the only other Oakland A to throw a perfect
Catfish
game?
Hunter.
Correct. 1-0 Dallas Braden.
A lot of good pitchers came through Oakland.
No Dave Stewart.
Only one catfish, baby.
You got that right.
Only one.
Sure got that right.
1-0 if you're keeping score at home.
Yeah,
Listeners,
that was quick. Hey, get ahead. Strike one. Bang.
That's it, baby.
Strike one. Who's the only other friend of this podcast to throw a perfect game?
David Cohn.
I wish he was.
No. Oh.
This podcast.
He was, maybe mid-30s episode 30.
I'm gonna go
40.
Rick Honeycutt is what I would go with.
He did not throw a perfect game.
Okay.
Giant.
Matt Cain.
Correct. 2-0.
Kaner, what am I doing?
That's what I'm doing
here. You got him on the pod.
That's tragic. That's devastating. But hey, you know what? I got to process that failure. I got to get back in the moment.
That's
and
it.
Let's go. 2-0 good guys.
I'm going to tell you guys a great story about Matt Cain when we're done.
Let's hear it now. I want to hear it now.
I love the anecdotes.
So he comes over, we're playing them, and I sent him a poster, of one of my perfect game posters, and sent it over there. I jokingly, obviously, but like with this huge whole care package, right? Like a Braden jersey, a signed baseball, and on the poster, I wrote, I was like, when you overlook the fact that you're right-handed and you overlook your 9-figure contract and the World Series championships and all the accolades, you and I are pretty much the same guy. So I don't know why everybody's so excited about your perfect game. Said he just sent he sent a baseball back because I asked him for a ball because I wanted his and he sent a ball. He sent 2 balls. One ball that said, "All I heard is blah 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 blah. My name is Dallas and I suck."
He's sneaky funny, right?
Hilarious, dude.
He's a great dude, man. Kane is a great guy.
Yeah, he can have a nice poker face, but he's one of those sneaky funny dudes.
Yeah.
So Dallas, he bet me in Pittsburgh. It was my first year with the Giants, 2014. And we're in Pittsburgh and we're in like right center fields, me, Vogie, and Matt Cain. And Kaner's like, "Hey, Chopper, if you make a diving play by the end of BP, I'll give you $1,000." I'm like, Kaner, say less. Like, let's go. So like 5 balls later, Juan Perez hits a low line drive to right center. I'm on my horse, full extension dive, forehand, like legit full extension diving catch, dude. And Kaner's pissed, not really pissed. He doesn't care.
Right.
Bogey's pumped. Everyone's like, why the hell's the replay guy making diving catches in the outfield? And we get in there. So
we
Kaner,
get paid.
yeah, dude. So he did it every year after that. I was there for 5 years. And every year after that, he would pick a spot where he'd be like, "All right, dude, here it is. The rest of BP." But it's funny. He was writing the check and he'd be like, $1,000. He's writing. He goes, "I just made that right now, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I just made it again." I love Cater, dude. He's the
Great
best.
dude.
Oh.
So good.
Another. There's one guy. This is our last perfect game question. He has been on the winning side of 3 perfect games.
What?
He's still alive. Actually, a broadcaster right now. But who's the one guy? He's an outfielder. He was. He was. He was in the
3?
David Cone. He was in the David Cone
He's a
perfect
Yankee.
game.
Yeah. Right? He's a Yankee.
He was in the Cone. Here's your other hint. Also in the Browning.
Whoa.
Tom Browning.
Not
Paul
no,
O'Neill.
not-
No, Paul O'Neill.
Correct.
Yes, Paul
Oh,
O'Neill.
Paul O'Neill was
On
the
the
right
board.
fielder for all
Wow.
3.
That's pretty cool.
Boomer
Yeah, Boomers.
Boomer Wells, David Cone, and Tom Browning.
Let's go.
The
That's a
only
cool
guy.
trivia question. That's a cool trivia
And
question.
you got it right. 2-1. Right?
Yeah, I did.
Process the failures.
I did because I missed Kaner. That's tragic. All right, carry on. Here we go.
That's a tough look. That's a tough look. Your own guest. Your own
Don't tell Kaner.
your own teammate.
Don't tell Kaner.
Who did Dallas strike out the most? What player
Ooh, okay.
in his career? Guy's still playing.
He's still playing. Really?
He really
AL
is.
West opponent.
Yep.
Okay.
He's
He's still in the building.
he's still playing baseball in the major leagues.
Yeah, but he's no longer in the AL West, is he right now? No.
No.
He's on the Chicago White Sox?
He was very prolific.
You can make
in
more than
the
one guess.
World Baseball Classic. He was, you saw him a lot.
In the World Baseball?
Miguel Cabrera.
No.
No.
That's
no,
AL
not
West. That's a bad
I-
guess. It's a bad
Miggy.
guess.
I only got Miggy one time looking. Sorry about it.
Got him. Whoops. Sit in the truck.
That's
It's
one
not-
more than most.
Is it Elvis? Elvis Andrews?
Elvis Andrews? Good.
It's-
That's good.
Good guess. I got his
What?
autograph on my conga in Dallas at the Warstick
great
event,
guess.
but that is not.
That's a
correct.
great guess, though.
Wow. He's
Partial
still
credit for
playing.
that guess.
Like, because the reason this is throwing me off is because if I punched you out multiple times and you're still playing
7 times. You punched him 7 times.
Let's get-
DR.
from
DR, dude.
he's from the DR.
That's his initials, or he's from the Dominican?
No, from the DR.
Oh, I thought those were his
and
initials.
He had a. I mean,
Why did
he had a coaching position with the DR in the World Baseball Classic, if I'm not mistaken.
But he's still playing.
but he's still Oh, I love this man. He's a great guy. Great quality human, does a lot of great work in his community back home. They call him, and they actually still have a hot dog for him in Texas.
Do you remember all 7 of those strikeouts?
Probably.
Nelson Cruz?
You got it. The boomstick. The boomstick.
Nelson Cruz.
Yeah,
Wait,
Nelson Cruz, what a legend.
he's still. Who's he with this year? He's
Padres.
still
He's with Bo Mel.
Padres.
Yeah.
Jeez. So there you go. 3-1. A little Oakland A's trivia, and we're out of here. The last Oakland A to win a Cy Young was who?
Huddy?
Ooh,
Not Huddy.
no.
Friend of
was
the
it Zito?
pod. It was Zito.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Zito.
he was
Barry Zito.
Barry
Yeah.
Zito 2 episodes ago. We had Barry on, and now he's in Nashville producing music. But 0-2.
Great guest.
Oh, two. Yeah, we just had him out at the A's fantasy camp, actually.
Great story, dude. His
Great
Awesome.
story he's got,
Amazing.
man. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done a deep dive on his story. Pretty interesting.
Well, he's very
Um,
credit to him too, because he's been very candid about
Yeah.
just some of the
Yes.
things, some of the emotions that he was going through and dealing with in the transition from, really super duper uber star to,
Yep.
dealing with maybe other guys on the team that were garnering that same attention to just trying to fit like just a very awesome peel back of the onion layer, pull back of the curtain. Yeah, Z's a great
Yeah.
dude.
He was super giving on the pod too. He laid it out. He wrote a book about it too, which I own. It's bedside. The last Oakland A MVP.
Jason Giambi.
Boom.
No,
Oh,
it was
Miguel
actually
Tejada.
correct. It was the same
Miggy.
year. They had a Cy Young and an MVP
yeah,
in 02. Miguel Tejada in 02, Giambi in 2000. Before that, who was it? 1992. The MVP was
Canseco?
Hosey, 40-40.
Eck.
Eck! Oh!
Eckersley.
So I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he won
Okay.
the Cy Young and the MVP.
What a savage.
I think he might have in 92 as a flipping closer.
He was nice. That's like the prime for like I'm 43. Like watching Eck, dude. That was. I mean, he was nasty.
And I think a lot of people forget how nasty he was.
Yeah.
When he was a young stud. As a
he got strike one. Dallas, you better
starter.
believe he got strike one.
Oh,
and he was
dude,
backdoor
no-hitter.
sliding you.
Like throw a no hitter. Like people.
He's so
Come
good.
Good listen too.
Eck.
He's a good listen.
Great dude.
Ricky in 90 and Jose in 88.
Ricky, don't lose that number. Henderson, what a legend.
I
love the A's.
Last one. First all-time in intentional walks. What Oakland Day? Intentional walks.
First all time. Reggie
Mark
Jackson.
Mark McGuire.
Ooh, I like McGuire.
Correct. Reggie freaking Jackson is correct.
Wow.
Let's go. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Bang. Straw that stirs the drink. Let's go.
Reggie. He was just in the booth too. This was like an all-time is this my life moment for me, because Reggie comes into the booth, and before he's coming into the booth, because we were celebrating the 73 team, he comes into the booth, and before he comes down, he goes, "Hey, Dallas." And then he like lifts up his shoe, and he's got a pair of Jordans on, right? Like
Savage.
some green
Standard.
on, whatever. He's like, "Look, like you, you should the Jordan." And I was like, am I really talking Jordans right now with Reggie Jackson? Like,
is this real life?
Like, that's what he's excited about, is to come into the booth and be like, and show me his shoes. And he's like, "Yo, like you, the Jordans." And I was like, this is bananas. This is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like baseball royalty, just loving his Jordans right now and loving showing me his Jordans. It was awesome.
That moment for me was when Barry would walk through the clubhouse and he'd be like, "Hey, don't F with chop and ping pong." I was 10-0 against Barry Bonds. So like Barry was my hype guy for ping pong, dude. And I'm like, yeah, this doesn't suck.
No, this doesn't get any better. You got the GOAT right here telling everyone don't mess with him.
Yeah, don't mess with this guy in ping pong. This guy's the truth. I'm like, wow, okay. All right.
Man. Well, I do think Dallas got the victory, but it was a really strong comeback there, Chopper. And I'm proud to say you finished second.
He may have won the battle, but he also won the war.
Hey, send us off, for the Oakland A fan out there who's listened to the Fossies, and they've watched the Jimmy Foxes, and they're sad with what's going down, what's been in the news. What do you got for us as one of the hearts and souls of the Oakland A community? What do you got?
Just kind of, I mean, along the same lines that what I've said. I put a video out, just kind of, I was feeling the emotion. I had a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people still reaching out, because it's not something that just goes away with the 24-hour news cycle for baseball fans in the Bay Area, for A's fans. This doesn't just go away, and it hasn't gone away. And their story is one that I think really, really deserves some attention. And I think some of the messaging, when stuff like this occurs, can get mixed up. And I think as folks start to form opinions, which are going to be everlasting, because it does feel like this thing is sort of coming to an head one way or the other, I really hope that folks do the due diligence to understand everything that has gone on, because it's not just at the fans' feet. And for anybody across any sport to think that anything that involves business to this magnitude would ever fall at the feet of the fans, I think understand that that's just falling short of reality. And so to the fans, I can only say to you what I've been saying to you this whole time as a player, this whole time as an announcer. I can only say to you what I was being told as a wee Litland, as a fan. And that's hang with them and hang in there and keep supporting the folks who are on the field, because they deserve your support. They deserve your support, and they're the ones who are going to be a part of making those memories that you hold on to right now. And sure, they were players that you had their jersey and might have been in the league for 4 or 5 years. Well, you know what? If you're ever looking to draw a parallel between yourself and life in the big leagues, this would be a great time to do so and realize that not everybody starts life on third base. Not everybody's a first-round draft pick. Not everybody gets to the big leagues in their first year. Sometimes it takes a lot of grinding. Sometimes it takes many, many years of being called up and sit down, trying to establish yourself, trying to reestablish yourself. Sometimes you're asked to make a complete and total wholesale change. I don't know, like maybe a pandemic pops up and what you were doing isn't something that you can do anymore. So you got to make a change. Were you great day one that you had to make that change? No. Are you a little better now? Probably. You'd like to think so. So that's what's going on with these guys, is there's guys that are trying to reestablish themselves, guys that are trying to grow into a big leaguer. They're looking for help. They're looking for leadership. They're trying to become a leader themselves. All of that is going on at the most elite level of competition, which isn't something you see every day. So if you could ever see yourself in a big leaguer, I bet it's right now more so than ever.
There you go. I appreciate your friendship, and I respect and I'm inspired by your honesty and your genuine strive to grow the game and be you. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, I want to thank both of you for what you guys do. And Chop, coaching kids, man, it's one of the most thankless jobs publicly that you will ever sign up for, that you will ever do. At times, you're nothing more than a glorified babysitter. And it takes a very special individual to be able to understand that, wake up and face maybe some inevitable failures in their day, but know and believe that the impact that they're going to make is worth the while. And without people like you, Chop, our game does not continue to grow. Our game does not continue to exist. So thank you. And
Thanks,
Coach
bro.
Ballgame, I've shared this with you. I am jealous of you that you have the opportunity to be that big kid each and every day, because that is who you are. And that is how you live your life. And you should never have to apologize for doing that. And you should never, ever question where you fit in the pantheon of baseball greatness, because you're at the tip top of that list, my friend, for the same reason that Chop is, because it takes somebody outside of mom, dad, aunt, uncle, caregiver to just love an individual and love what they're doing and love the game to help grow it. And that's you to a full point. That is you. And without that, we're not able to have these kind of conversations. We don't get to have the opportunity to just let the kids play.
Man, what do you do with that, Chop? Huh?
I love it, dude. Thank you for your time. Thank you for who you are, dude. It's been a privilege to meet you, and just keep doing you, man. I wear Jordans all the time too, so let's go.
Right on. Right on. Thank you, boys, very much. I appreciate you thinking of me.
Have a great day,
listening.
dude.
We'll keep listening to those A's. And I texted you, the last time me and Mrs. Ballgame were watching an A's game.
That's it.
Hey,
that's it.
we'll leave it at that. Well done. So
appreciate you, bro. Hey, and we don't do a post pod wrap. So when we let you go, you can bounce, because like half the guests just stay.
No, all good.
Just so you know, bro, you bounce, and we appreciate you. Have a great day, dude. Good luck tonight in the broadcast.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
All right, bro.
Attaboy. There you go.
What a guy, huh?
Man, I tell you.
On Mother's Day? Come on, Coach Ballgame. That is, see, nuts. Debbie gets frustrated when I use the term baseball gods. I get it. Like, that's a sacrilegious term. I don't really mean that there's baseball gods. There's one true holy God. That's Jesus Christ and his Father. And in the Holy Spirit, if you want to get into it, the Holy Trinity. But whatever term you want to use for when baseball does amazing things, like give Dallas Braden a flipping perfect game on Mother's Day.
Our
What?
God loves baseball, man. That's it.
He does. Our God loves baseball. That's it. That's what it is. Our God loves baseball. That was so cool.
Super
Great
strong.
guest.
Super strong, man. So
welcome back to the States too, bud.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I
Missed
mean,
ya.
we came back strong. There'll be a topic each day. I've got these topic questions from our listeners. Send them in. Send me an email. Throw me a message on Instagram. I've already got 2 here that will hit next week. Thank you to our Patreons, the supporters, and thank you, Warstick, being our first.
Let's go.
Flipping
Kinsler.
Sponsor, man. Let's go. Kinsler.
Jack White.
Jack. We got to get him on the pod, talk music.
Dude, that'd be sick. Yeah. Talk some,
we should probably
some
do that.
drums. That would be great.
Oh.
I'd love that.
This quote came to me. I'm sure somebody else wrote it, but I'll take the blame for it, and I want to write it in my book. But speak nicely and ask nicely. If you speak mean, the other person taps into their insecurities, and they won't hear you. So along the lines of Doc Roberts, criticize quietly and privately, and then praise loudly. But I think when you go hard or you go mean, they turn you off, and they go inward, and they start thinking about their own issues and problems, and they won't hear you. So that message was spoken loudly this interview for sure.
Indeed. No, great job. Have a great week. Don't forget to rake. You're the GOAT. Bang.